get started. I got 132.
Let's pray. Father God, we lift up the Bush family, the death of the 41st president. We ask you to bring comfort and peace to that family, Lord. Minister to them by your Spirit. I want to lift up our border patrol today, and also the soldiers who are down at the border, God. Just protect people safe. Give our commissioners wisdom to make godly decisions for our county. In Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we'll start with agenda item number 1, open court session for comments from court and citizens on items which may or may not need to be placed on the following week's agenda for consideration. Each person addressing the court may be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody like to say anything? How many people do we have more or less show up today? Today was the first day of the HAT program in Orange.
I think there was about 60 to 70 people at the last count that showed up there.
Just this morning?
Just this morning, right.
And we had some that on the launch date actually went to Beaumont, this is regional, and did their filing there. So our total is probably around 75 or something.
Something like that. They're undermanned for sure. They were undermanned for sure.
So the 4 or 5 that they thought was going to be able to handle, it's not probably enough.
Well, they only sent 2.
Michelle mentioned that
It's only 2.
2 this morning, and then they got another one that came, and I think they were trying to get some from Hardin County because they weren't open today to come down and help. I think Port Arthur was way overwhelmed, so they didn't anticipate that.
if we needed some people, did you make that call?
Mm-hmm. We
Give any
did.
indication of some permanent relief? One?
One's better than none, right?
One is better than none. But it's being well received. I mean, there's a lot of people showing up for it. So.
I've got several phone calls on it, and I'm directing them up there. So
I'm telling people to get there early.
Yes, the HAP. I'm sorry. Housing Assistance Program kicked off.
I've shared the post.
Well, here in Orange, kicked off today.
And for those folks that are a bit more computer literate and have all their paperwork from past FEMA filings and so forth, you can do all of this from your house until if you get stuck. That's what they're there for. But if you feel comfortable doing it, that's something that they can do.
And several people were doing that. They had done it online, and then they were bringing it up there to get the GLO people to double check it.
Did y'all ever decide if you needed some extra laptops or anything like that?
Well, we did talk to Sean, and he said they're not doing that in Beaumont. Any person that is there, there's not a bank of computers. They're being helped by a case manager. If they were there.
Saw them doing it while I was there, but all right.
Yeah, that's what he told us.
Well, whether they do it or not, if they're going to log on themselves and do it themselves, and they just want to be there to have that safety net in case they hit a question,
Mm-hmm.
I think that we probably have some that we could probably loan you. If it'll help and it'll help get things done, I'm all for it.
Okay. Well, I'll run it back by him again and see if they would be open to that.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks. Anything?
I just want to add my condolences to the Bush family. Number 41 was a good president for this country, and he'll be sorely missed. And I just hate to see that happen. But did you see the train that took him to Washington, the special paint job? They put the number 4141 on it, blue and white, like Air Force One, so that was pretty special. But other than that, we continue to progress with recovery like today, so that's good news, Joel. Good to hear that there's people out there and we're giving them some help.
same thing. Just appreciate it, and everybody just be safe throughout the rest of the holidays. A lot of folks out there on the road traveling around, so make sure everybody stays safe. enjoy them. We burned them.
Just a couple of scheduling reminders. Christie, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no way we're going to be having our regular, or technically special court session, on Christmas Day, nor will we be having one on New Year's Day. So currently, we're tentative to the Wednesday following the 2nd. Really, and just so everybody here understands, the reason why I'm deferring to our treasurer is because the main thing on that agenda is going to be the approval of payroll. So is that what we're looking at?
New Year's Eve.
Okay. There was a question earlier from Commissioner Precinct 3 as to whether or not that could be a Thursday, but I don't know if that puts it too far out.
Yeah, I just was asking about what the timing is. Does that hurt you either way, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday?
Well, Thursday, the direct deposit's at midnight, so it'll be a little later.
Okay. So Wednesday, 80.
So for now, unless there's any objection, we will plan for that court to be on the 2nd of January at 1:30. Okay. We understand.
Judge, I did have
Yeah.
one thing. Everybody knows that the Christmas parade has been pushed back to Monday
Oh, yeah.
due to weather. The weather just keeps, the Lions Club could probably tell you, the weather just keeps giving and giving. But the parade is pushed back to Monday, same time, so hopefully it'll be just as big as it would have been on Friday, but it was with a 90% chance of rain, it was a good thing to go ahead and push that back.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. You mentioned weather. And I would appreciate it if our media could get this out before Friday in some way. Saturday from 8 to 2:30, they're looking for 200 volunteers at the Mauriceville Elementary School campus. They've had playground equipment donated, and they need people to show up to put it together. They'll have people from the company that built the equipment there to give instruction and supervise, but they need a lot of hands on deck. Saturday from 8 to 2:30, and it's a rain or shine event because this company sends it to you. They show up, and you got to have some people there to put it together. And I'm starting to have my doubts if they're going to have 200 people there. So hopefully they shot high on that. But if y'all could maybe put something out on that, I'd appreciate it.
The final scheduling adjustment is for 6 of us in this room: sheriff, treasurer, legal advisor, auditor, myself, and Commissioner Gauthier. And of course, Connie, you're part of the committee in reference to the outside audit. We have gotten some paperwork back, some proposals back. I just want to know, since I've got everybody but Judge Arkeen in this room right now, if y'all have a suggestion on that, at very least let me know before or after Christmas holidays. If y'all could do that, we can take a moment right now. We're not scheduling a court session. This is merely a committee meeting. Can y'all at least give me some guidance as to whether we need to set that for... I'd like to do it as soon as we can. Penny has indicated that time is kind of the essence on this. But I also understand people are very busy during this time of year. Any suggestions?
What after that? What is after the first of the year okay, Penny? Is that pushing it too late to miss the holiday season?
Get on it.
Talking about looking at the proposal that
Yes,
was
sir.
given to us.
Yes, sir. Just looking at the proposal.
It really doesn't matter.
Would someday next week be a problem with anyone? We can go ahead and get that set up. If not, that's fine, but I'm asking the question before we get...
I'm going to be out Monday.
Okay. We'll look for some time Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Y'all all pretty good with those? Okay. We'll send something out. Make a note for myself. Okay. Does anyone else have anything for the court? All right. Moving on to number 2, discussion and possible action authorizing the county treasurer to process payroll for pay period ending December 2nd, 2018, including all supporting payroll liabilities and garnishment orders.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
3 and 1. 1,
Okay.
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3,
Aye.
4. Number 3, discussion and possible action regarding payment of bills approved by the county auditor as per attested listings, and also specifically as follows. A, $21,652.83 to UTMB from the general fund, 001-111-54235, for contract payment due December 2018. B, $2,300 to Dorman Funeral Home from the general fund, 001-111-54290, for indigent funeral expenses. And C, $350 to Texas General Land Office from the general fund, 001-111-59999, for payment of lease application fee as approved by court.
Also for approval on December 4th, 2018, from the general fund, $201,105.64. Road and Bridge, $22,147.27. Mosquito Control, $2,763.08. Adult Probation, sure I'm lining this up correctly. $7,664.13. Airport, $1,489.39. Other funds, $28,255.79, for a grand total of $263,425.30.
Second.
One of those days. He's too busy adding it up, make sure it's right. So you know.
We'll wait on Commissioner Grant. All good?
Math check.
Okay, 4 and 3. 1.
A.
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3, 4. Aye.
That's cool air.
Number 4, discussion and possible action regarding a line item transfer, County Clerk's Office, from 040-932-59999. County Clerk digitized, it's going to be $1,195,476 to 040-926-59999. County Clerk Records Management, amount of $1,195,476. Purpose is correcting an entry to properly allocate funds to the County Clerk Records Management Department code. Y'all want to elaborate a little bit further on that, given the amount?
In the budget, it was improperly put under the wrong department, so it was budgeted under the wrong department code. So it's just a correction of that.
Okay.
The only change is the 932 to the 926, is that right?
Correct.
So dollar figures exact same, nothing, just a matter of, we just didn't get it properly done when the budget was presented.
Correct.
Just make sure. We'll give it some more judgment.
Second.
4 and 2. 1,
Okay.
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3, 4. Number 5, discussion and possible action authorizing the purchase of 2 printers with extra toner cartridges and a signature capture pad out of County Clerk's restricted funds, 040-926-59999. Total purchase amount is $3,807.20.
Is it somebody's birthday or something? Because that's when we typically buy these. So.
No.
We're not buying these. These, for the record, are coming out of her restricted funds that we just transferred.
For the past 2 years, I've tried to replace older printers in our office. We forgot to do that for the last 2 printers at budget time. And the signature pad is for the new TextEver system that's supposed to be going live January 1st for our birth and death.
My only question is, it seemed like I remember a conversation where even if it came out of the restricted funds, it had to be budgeted during budget time. Is that
Not out of her restricted fund.
Okay.
Well, The
No,
funds were
he's
budgeted.
correct.
Yeah,
Those funds,
yeah.
they were just budgeted to the wrong department.
Okay.
But those funds
But
that
they
we
were
just
budgeted in the
moved
budget. Okay.
are
just moved them.
budgeted.
Yeah, it's in every
Right.
The
Even though
expenditure
it's
had been
restricted.
budgeted, but the money hadn't been put into that fund because it was under 932 instead of 926.
That's fine.
That
I just-
department.
The previous
Just
line.
wanted to make sure.
So moved.
3,
Second.
1, 1,
Hey.
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3,
Aye.
4. Number 6, discussion and possible action to approve an interlocal agreement between Orange County and Orange County Community Supervision and Corrections Department. The purpose of this agreement would allow the OCC-SCD to refer probationers to provide services to the county in satisfaction of community service requirements ordered by local courts. I believe I have a copy of that here somewhere. This interlocal agreement, I believe this was written up by you.
Yes,
By
and I think it's fabulously written.
It's awesome, but I haven't
You
read it yet.
approve. You approve.
I do, in fact, approve.
You approve of what you wrote?
I do.
Before I run through it, do you want to?
There's really not much to say about it. This is something that has been discussed for some time. I believe Jamie Culbertson with adult probation is working with Clark, and I think most of the probationers are going to be working in his department. So we worked on the language. I did get with Jefferson County to see how theirs was done, to make sure ours was similar to how theirs is done, make sure all liability issues are covered, and both Jamie and Clark have approved it.
Brandon's here too. Just throwing you on the bus, Brandon.
He is not, he's monitoring.
Okay.
Just for the court's edification, this is something we've been working on for, what, a couple of months now anyway.
Yes, there was a question over whether or not it needed to be documented, the fact that Orange County is, to some extent, a county department, but it is also a quasi-state agency, so there did need to be an independent contract allowing that relationship.
The advantages here, and Clark and I have already discussed it, and actually the other department that has expressed interest is maintenance. So Kurt's looking into it too. We have, according to Jamie, and you keep me straight on this, a pretty good number of probationers that are in need of a lot of hours that they have been assigned by a court. They have to get these hours done, and we'd like to have the work done. The advantages to this, as opposed to having the inmates do things, is these are probationers. All we have to do is monitor. If we're watching it, all we have to do is monitor. If they leave, make a note of it. They're not prisoners. They can leave anytime they wish. But if they want to get credit for their hours, then they have to stay and do the work. There's some other advantages as well that they bring along with them. I believe they have an insurance, and they even, I've heard of some places that do a policy if they bring their own equipment, they can get extra time. Something we can look into. The big deal is there's been a lot of talk about cleaning up in Orange County, and one of the biggest things, that's just labor intensive. Well, we have the labor. They need to get their hours, and we need to get the labor done. I think this is probably one of the best things I've seen on an agenda in a while. I'm very, very happy that we have this here today. I'm going to read it over in just a minute, but I think it'll be a huge benefit to the county if we use it right. It does mean sometimes Kurt and Clark are going to have to assign people to make sure that they at least keep track of the folks. It's well worth that cost to get the labor that we need, and they can get their debt paid as well.
And I think there's a little bit more flexibility, right, Judge, in what that types of works that they can do.
Yeah, well, to a point. You still need to be careful about certain things. You don't want them operating equipment they don't know how to operate or anything. But yes, a lot more flexibility and a lot less liability than when it comes to using the prisoners. It doesn't say that we won't still need your crew from time to time, but at least we've got that. Actually, what we need now is a pressure washer, because I've already got a job for them out at y'all's building, because the mud dauber nests are getting out of control. But anyway,
Are you going to read the whole contract, Judge, or are you just going
I was just going to read the. No, would you like to go over any part of the contract?
to? I have a few questions. That's what,
Oh, go.
If you're going to read that, I was going to say, go ahead.
Well, no, it's my understanding I'm supposed to read all the whereases. But before I get to that, go ahead and ask your
I don't have
questions.
any whereas questions.
Good,
I
good.
don't have any of those. Section 1 specifications under 1.02, bottom of page 1. County shall in accordance with the terms of this contract, provide all the necessary and service personnel, equipment, materials, supplies, facilities, services, blah, 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 and do all things necessary for or incidental to the provision of services listed below. I'm just looking at this from a contrary perspective and saying, okay, wait a minute, what all?
Where's he at again?
What's that?
Where are you at
Bottom
again?
of the first page.
Bottom of the first page.
1.02 terms and conditions.
Oh, okay.
I'm just looking at it from an adversarial position and saying, wait a minute, this says provide all the necessary, then how far does this actually go? Do we have a judge that's going to say, oh, no, you got to do so-and-so under this community supervision to do something? And I'm just thinking outside the box.
Okay, well, the judge says you have to perform so many hours of community service. They don't say what they have to do. So if a probationer were to be sent here under this contract, we can only ask them to do what we have provided the materials. We can't ask them, hey, you need to come and bring your own weed eater. So they're only going to be asked, and we have to provide whatever is needed for whatever we ask. But it's not going to be a situation where a judge orders them to perform some service and then orders us to have equipment for that service.
Okay, but see, that's what I'm talking about. I see the potential for that existing. For a judge to not know exactly what we do have, don't have, or we have the capabilities of being able to supervise, and this is another question I've got in a few minutes, but this cost, we could end up with this cost just keep kind of climbing and climbing and climbing.
Okay,
Because what you
I
just said.
don't see how that could happen though, because the court does, like I said, the court says you have to perform 15 hours of community service.
Okay.
OCCSD, adult probation, they determine, and I believe they determine exactly how those hours, they run the program. The judges do not assign any particular task. They just say you have X many hours community service to perform. Everything else is within the discretion of adult probation. There's also no requirement that the county let them do any particular project. We can't demand that they provide people for any particular project, and they can't demand to be able to do any particular project. So it's all a mutual cooperation. We're not bound to expend any degree of funds on this.
Yeah, because I think it says in the agreement that it's mutually beneficial to both parties.
Right.
Okay, but, I mean, that's a good analogy, though, about the weed eater. So somebody, that now, do we need to go buy one? So
No.
Brandon, you and Jamie are going to be monitoring that, right?
Well, yeah, and let me clarify what I said a minute ago, because if you're getting it from that, please bear this in mind. The way that it was described to me by Jamie and the way that it has worked in other places is that is, first of all, a voluntary thing that the person involved can do, and they get, and what is it, 2 to 1? Something like that in some cases. It depends on the agreement. But if they show up without it, then they can pick up trash and get 1 to 1 or whatever it is. But it has to be mutually beneficial to both of us.
And I agree. And like I said, I'm just asking because this is part of my job.
Right, and I think
Contract guy.
the short answer to your question is no, this contract does not obligate the county to expend any funds in order to make this happen.
Okay, that's far enough. Okay. In that same section under A, it says the county shall provide worksite supervision to offenders who are assigned to perform community service in accordance with Article 42A. This worksite supervision, and it's reflected in here again. Now, we're not worried about our time, because I know Clark has individuals that are stretched thin, because they're out there still trying to do everything in the world. Are we still going to be able to provide somebody that's not going to have, I mean, for worksite supervision, it's not going to have detrimental effects to us, repairing roads, fixing potholes, blowing out culverts, all that. It says we shall provide that worksite supervision, which
Okay.
in turn means they're monitoring time, and as the judge said, when they leave or they show up, we monitor that time when they got there, when they left. I just don't want to overload anyone.
I understand, and I don't think the supervision is the same as, for example, if we had inmates out there, it's a little bit different, less hands-on supervision. But if it comes to not getting other work done, then I imagine Clark, Kurt, whoever it is, will say, we don't have the manpower to do this right now, and it just won't get done.
Okay. Get with that, Clark?
Yeah, I think, it's, in essence, our supervision is just to maybe transport them to the site, or if they may meet us at the site, but to log when they're there and to see that they stay the whole time. So, sort of like a teacher, we're going to be taking roll. Okay? You're here, you stay the whole time, you left 8 hours, and then I'll give that to probation for them to acknowledge the
Okay.
service time.
All right, with them being there, what you just said, Under section 2.03, the duties and obligations of the county, under paragraph C, says report all misconduct, including disrespectful, irresponsible, dangerous, and poor job performance to the department. That seems to be a somewhat discretionary type thing too. So we're going to be in a position of saying, yes, you did a good job, or no, you didn't do a good job. And Brandon, does that come back to you as to, hey, these guys showed up out here, this individual showed up out here, and didn't hit a lick of a snake for 8 hours? So I mean, how does that fall? I'm just being the bad guy. I'm just pointing out the things that I see could be a problem.
I think Clark will report exactly what he saw, or his employees will report what he saw, what was done, and then it's completely within the discretion of adult probation whether or not they give credit for work that was done.
So final decision is y'all side, right, Brandon? Yes.
And if there's a complaint about whether or not credit was given, I believe that's going to be between adult probation and the court that ordered the hours. That doesn't really have anything to do with the county.
Moreover, again, just for the record too, when I spoke to Jamie, part of this too, these jobs that they do, there may be occasions where they're doing something that's manpower intensive, and he can have one person keeping an eye on them, 5 people doing something. That's fine. But there will be other jobs where adult probation themselves are going to be supplying the supervisor.
Okay. All right. And let me state for the record too, I'm all for this program, absolutely 100% for this program. I think it's a good idea. I just want to ask the questions. And last one I've got is under 4.01. The term is starting out, I think it's going to go for a period of 2 years. It's subject to 1 to 2 year increases or increments. Just the question was, do we want to go 2 years, or do we want to go 1 year on a trial basis? Because I know it's written up as 2 years.
It's subject to termination on 30 days notice anyway, so yeah, I didn't see anything wrong with 2 years.
Plus, I think we could just refuse to use the program if it became untenable.
Even without an official termination, that's correct, because it's discretionary amongst all of us anyway.
And I would encourage, again, Clark and I have already spoken with Jamie, and so has Kurt. I don't know of any other department heads that have, but I would encourage any department heads that have something that this might be useful for. Now, there are some rules to it. For instance, and again, we've gone over some of this, but just for y'all, obviously they look at the background of the persons that are doing the work. You don't want a registered sex offender cleaning up a schoolyard for obvious reasons. So these things are taken into account, and there are restrictions because of that. But having said that, with all the caveats in place, if there are department heads, code enforcement, anybody, if y'all have a job that can be done out there, Sabrina, for instance, was interested in having them pick up the parking lot out there at the expo and clean up some things. Whatever it is, those are the folks to talk to and see if we can't get something arranged where they can have a crew come out. Bear in mind, they'll give them a little bit of notice. It's not like they can put a crew together in 15 minutes and send them out to you.
I would also note that any department head that intends to participate needs to make sure that they have read and understand this agreement, because there are some conditions on the county as far as, for example, confidentiality of information. A department head is going to receive information about an offender that is thereafter confidential. So we want to make sure the department heads have read and understand this agreement before they're allowed any involvement.
Those records are maintained for 5 years, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and Judge, what you just said, I'd like to say just a little step a little further than that. Even the department heads and stuff that haven't even thought or considered that, I would still encourage all those department heads to contact them and see, because there might be something that they have to offer that you never even thought of.
That's true.
Just something they just kind of never thought about.
With that in mind, would you recommend taking this, if this passes, and going ahead and dispersing these copies to the department heads?
It would not hurt a bit to do so.
Then we'll make that happen.
And to your point, Commissioner, the ESD has recently started using this, and they're very happy with it. Got a guy come in moving some file cabinets, taking hose out and re-rolling them, and there's a lot of things they can do around the fire station that's been taking a load off. As volunteers, there's not anyone there all the time to get this stuff done, so it's been a big help for them. They've asked to be on a daily, if weekly schedule to get this help. So yeah, it's a big advantage.
If there's nothing else, I'll read through the main portion here of the interlocal agreement. For the record, interlocal agreement well, here, I'll just skip down to this part. Whereas Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Interlocal Cooperation Act, provides that one or more governmental entities may contract with each other for the performance of governmental functions or services for the promotion and protection of the health and welfare of the inhabitants of this state and the mutual benefit of the parties. And whereas Section 16A of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure permits a judge under certain circumstances to require as a condition of community supervision that the defendant work a specified number of hours in a community service project or projects for an organization or organizations approved by the judge and designated by the department. And whereas the community service program serves as a broker between the courts of Orange County, Texas, and the community by administering community service hours imposed in lieu or in addition to court-ordered fees or as a condition of probation. And whereas the goal of the community service program is to assist the court in the administration of justice by coordinating the performance of community service by offenders to the mutual benefit of the courts, community agencies, and offenders. And whereas the services of each party should complement each other as to provide a mechanism for the citizens of Orange County, Texas, to receive benefit from the services of probationers as ordered by the courts of Orange County, Texas. Any other questions or concerns?
So I'm good. Judge, I'll go ahead, I'll make the motion, but I want to add to it, that gives you the permission to sign that agreement.
We didn't put that in there, did we? It's okay. We can amend it in the motion.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Just did.
Okay.
Second that.
4 and 3. 1,
Hey,
2.
Aye.
Judge, I. 3, 4.
Aye. Thank you for that. I think we'll get a lot of good work out of that.
I want to thank Jamie for that because she's the one who really got the ball rolling on that and put it all together.
And Brandon, too. Appreciate it. Brandon, thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Denise.
Are you going to give the original to him to execute and then bring back to the court? Because I
Yes.
think there's a spot for Jamie to sign
Well,
on
we
that.
always make a copy first, if that's all right, and then in case it gets lost or something, and then we will we'll give him the original bring back. Where's Jamie today?
She's out at a Chief Summit.
Who?
4 days.
Oh.
It's better than meeting.
I had a second
Oh,
copy here.
Or gravitas summit.
Well, I'll get it from my wife.
Summit sounds so much more hardworking than a retreat.
It does, that's what I renamed it.
Number 7, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the Environmental Health and Code Compliance Department to begin accepting debit or credit cards as a form of payment for floodplain development permits, on-site septic system permits, and food service permits.
Judge Commissioners, we started this prior to Harvey, then Harvey hit, and it just got put on the back burner for a while. And this is basically just giving us the okay to take those forms of payment at the office for those permits. No cost to the county.
Got any kind of contract or anything yet?
No. No, and it's just get the okay from the court to move forward. There's several other departments that have those services. They make their money by the transaction from the person that's using the card to do the
Just
transaction.
normally 3%, I think.
Yeah. It's
Well, certified payments, like right now, we have, it's 4% for some, but when the expo started, it's 2.85% for credit card transactions.
Can we use Venmo? Could we use Venmo? I just found out about this. Apparently,
I don't
it's been
know what
around
that
for a
is.
while. And it's just a
Well,
VNMO. You sign up for it and you can
Venmo?
Venmo. Yeah, I mean, somebody bought concert tickets the other day and they had a Venmo account. My wife's got one. She just put money right in their checking account.
I carry a BlackBerry.
We know.
You used to have a checkbook, no debit card.
Yeah, for
I don't know.
sure.
I mean, that's something that's very low cost, and I mean, it's no cost.
So is this going to, you already have a vendor for it? Do
No,
you want
I
this
just
vendor
talked to some
go
of the other
through-
departments that had it, so.
Such as?
The tax office has it, the.
Yes, but the tax office goes through their own, it goes through their bank account. And so there's issues with doing this that we need to make sure that it's not, like your department right now is in the general bank account. And so we need to make sure how these transactions are going to happen.
We'd have to set up a credit card bank account, because there's no way we can do credit card transactions for general fund. It's just.
There's
it's
other,
just
I don't
too
remember
many.
all the departments, it was prior to Harvey when we looked at this, but the long and the short is, they have, if they show up to get a permit and they don't do it, they have to drive all the way back to town, either Orange or Rider, to get to the nearest bank, and they're usually not happy. Right.
Make money on an ATM machine at the.
No, definitely.
We would.
There's no way
So we're
we
gonna go out for
can
bids for that.
because they're gonna have to
I
reconcile.
don't
We
think
won't
so,
even know
but,
if there's a transaction made.
Again, this is just getting the court permission to pursue it further.
Well, Clark, we're just checking cash at the landfill right now too, aren't we?
No, we don't take
No,
cash.
they do
Just
not
check,
take
yeah, no
cash.
credit card.
Right.
County
We can
Street,
get
they'll-
filed.
they'll-
A lot of
they'll-
stickers.
They just take the,
Yeah.
yeah, they take the.
So we are looking at making some changes.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe piggyback on that.
Yeah.
One of the
So-
things that, when I read the agenda item, I thought, because you have it listed on here, debit cards, credit cards, forms of payment for floodplain development permits, on-site septic permits, food service permits, stuff. Is there any way that you could just kind of change that and just say to allow the Health and Code Compliance Department to use credit card instead of listing what these things are here, in case something else comes up in the future, you have to make changes, just say.
Change it to accept payment.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
approval, just to have the approval for your department.
Right. that's all we issue right now, but correct. Yeah, we can do
Yeah, I
that.
know that's what I'm saying. If
Well,
something changes somewhere.
I'm going to bring it back to court with the information on it anyway, once we have that in place. This is just to pursue it.
I would
Further
just
look into
ask
it.
that Treasury and auditing be included in these discussions, because we're the ones that have to deal with the credit card being, you
You
know,
were,
if
and if you don't
it's a-
remember, and prior to Harvey.
So,
I move that we allow,
Change the wording.
so I was trying to see how do we add a word to make it work now, because we want to leave those off.
For payment of,
Yeah, that we allow the Health and Code Department to begin accepting debit or credit cards as forms of payment for services.
I second that motion, just as it were. It's good with you.
Commissioners, do y'all want to kind of look at this as are you going to do this for every, because then you're going to have other departments.
Well, that's
and
what I was gonna
so
say, do we want to be specific to their department?
You're going to,
Right now.
if you're wanting to open this up, then you need to see about how it's proper for the county to do this.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
That's what I'm thinking, Joel's going to bring that back to us. Is that what you just said?
Right.
And we already have some departments doing it.
Correct. I don't remember all the ones that we were doing it.
So
just
like
the
all the
tax office and stuff.
JPs.
Hey, Joe. Would-
District clerk. county
if
clerk.
you're gonna go back and look at that, you wanna just no action this today?
That's fine.
And,
Well,
will
at
you
least to
bring it
move
back?
forward, or whatever.
Well-
to-
Get the information.
This is
Right.
just
This
all-
allows him to move forward, is all it does. We're not doing it yet. We're just letting him move forward.
Whatever information we get
No,
from the
that's
bank.
not
No,
the way
that's
it
not
reads.
how it reads.
Well, we can no action
It
and bring
says
it
to
back.
begin accepting debit and credit cards as forms. If
How
you
about
want
to
to change the
explore?
wording, to explore it, but I don't know that we need to vote for that. You can explore whatever you want.
Well, I think he's looking for explicit authority to move forward in talking to people and,
Getting
Okay.
bid.
and yeah.
How about we have some wordings that, hold on a second, for, that would be appropriate for what it is we're doing.
Discussion and possible action regarding approval of Environmental Health and Code Compliance Department to begin exploring accepting debit and credit cards as form of payment.
I amend my motion to say that. Exactly.
You know, repeat it?
Like that, yes.
Okay. So
What's your
we're-
motion, John?
Yeah, what she said.
Would that do what you need to do, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He said,
I fully believe in leaning on the legal department.
We appreciate that.
Correct.
I second that.
Okay. So we have 3 and 1 to begin exploring accepting debit and credit cards.
Yeah.
So amended, so it supersedes the amendment.
Oh, okay. 1,
Hey,
2,
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3, 4.
We change that 3-1 instead of 3-4?
it's 3-1. It's 3-1.
Paybacks.
All right. Hold on a second. You're right. I didn't hear that down there. Now I can hear him fine. I can't hear you. Anyway, so 3-1, or you wanted to amend?
So I had reflected I had amended my second, but I think Commissioner Trahan said he had seconded.
The amendment referred to the change.
Then
He was slow on his second of the amended.
Then for the record, we'll go with 3-1. You texted to me on BlackBerry.
You got to get a stylus out first.
Number 8, discussion and possible action on allowing the emergency management coordinator to travel out of state to Miami, Florida to participate in the FEMA Hurricane Preparedness for Decision Makers course, Gulf States. The cost of this course and travel are reimbursable by FEMA. And before you get started, I'd just like to tell the court, because I know you won't, that this is a really big deal. He was contacted, I believe, by Carmen, right?
Yeah, Corman Apple, our district court.
This is a pretty high level course. Not everybody gets to go to this. There's some prerequisites to this that not everybody gets to go to, and having a good, qualified, educated emergency management coordinator is invaluable. It could actually save somebody's life. Having built it up, you're welcome to go ahead.
You pretty much explained it. I was nominated by Corman to attend this course. It's in Florida, and FEMA picks up the bill for it.
So
Texas
moved.
gets 6 spots.
Second.
January 14th through the 18th.
And he's got a white jacket and a blue T-shirt and an alligator, right? Or both.
Miami Vice.
Oh,
Got this,
I just got
the
it.
beard a little tighter, you know.
1 and 2. 1,
Hey,
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3,
Aye.
4. Aye.
get you a shot
And,
at
tell
soundtrack
Carmen-
on the way up there so you can do smooth operator.
And tell Carmen we really appreciate her thinking of us too. Sometimes we get forgotten about. She never does.
I will. Thank you, Jim.
Always appreciate Coleman.
Yep.
This is where we're going to be taking vacation in January.
Number 9, discussion and possible action to authorize county judge or judge pro tem to sign the county's MS4 annual report form. The report documents the county's efforts to reduce pollution discharges into the area's rivers, bayous, and streams, and to educate the public on reducing stormwater pollutants.
Like you said, this is a annual report that we have to send in, and it's the one that we have LJA Engineering doing for the consortium or the coalition of the cities in Orange County and Hardin County, so that we keep up to date on all our regulations. They do the monitoring for us. They do the report generation, and it's just a matter of it's time to send it in for this year.
I didn't see anything detrimental in that report. Did you see anything detrimental?
No, it's good, and they
They clearly stated in there what we've done, how we've handled it. I mean, the report really looked good to me. I'm not a stormwater guy, but it looked good to me.
So
That a motion?
your motion, 4, and I'll say.
Okay. 4 and 3.
Unless Warren wants to.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm gonna take the
that
second.
time I think it was 4-3.
I'm going to take the second.
Oh,
So you'll take a
One.
second.
Take it away from me.
Hey,
2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3, 4. Aye.
That's what happens.
Number 10, discussion and possible action to release Fairways exploration and production from super heavy or oversized equipment permit bond B005170. This bond was issued in 2009 to protect the county in the event that the equipment associated with activities by Fairways exploration and production resulted in damage to Old 62 or the county's portion of 8 Gate Road.
This was a road bond that was put in place back in about 2009 for moving oil well rig in across Shannon Crossing, Old 62, and then up 8 Gate. They actually finished the work back in 2013. It's just that they're just now getting around to asking for us to relinquish that bond. So been done a long time. And in fact, since then, we've had another oil well company go in that same route.
Have we checked the route?
Yeah, I went out there and checked it after they notified me that they wanted to release the bond. I don't see any damage that was attributable to either one of those companies. But
I
like I
like
said,
keeping these bonds for a while so we can have a chance to really
yeah,
check and see. That sounds a little excessive, though. But
No, actually, because your namesake road was one of the ones we discussed. If, in reference to this one here, I don't want what to happen on North Burton to happen here. We want to make sure that it's all good. So you checked it out yourself?
yeah, I was out there after they notified me, which was one day last week.
But how long have
Just
they
looking
been
at it.
finished with the work?
2013 is
On
when
that
they
one?
finished.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't like the idea of us releasing these bonds within a month after they get through, because damage is not seen for months afterwards, so this is good. Some of,
As long as it's
Second.
that's the issue from last, wasn't it?
Excuse me? Oh, yeah, it was back when Les
Yeah.
Anderson was still
so
here.
any damage there, would definitely, yeah.
2 and 1? 1?
Hey.
2?
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3? 4? Number 11, discussion and possible action by the court to modify the county's oversized, overweight permit and bond procedure. Action by the court may include issuing a resolution to establish new permitting and bonding requirements.
This is just sort of a follow-up on what we had started last week when there was a different company that was wanting a bond release. I had come to y'all and y'all had said, well, why don't we, look and see what the real costs are associated with road damage, and maybe we'd want to change what we currently have in place, which currently it's $20,000 per mile, which is a very small amount. So what I've done, I don't know, Denise, this is a lot of big, thick thing, but we need to just kind of look at the idea of going forward and revising our current standards. And I think that it's going to require having a public hearing, getting input from the public, and then based on what we find from the public hearing, then we can issue a new resolution and make changes to it. One of the complications that does come into effect here, and this is one of the things that I was looking at making these changes years ago, but the state came out with a kind of a guidance saying that we can't require a permit from anybody that already has a permit from them, from TxDOT or from the state. And so nearly all of our loads come from somewhere on a state road till they get to ours. It's very seldom that our loads start and terminate without getting onto a TxDOT road. So the only thing that we can really regulate is when they're on, either they don't have a permit, which very seldom, or they start and stop on our county road system. So that, any changes we make really only applies to things that stay on our road system.
Well, I know the folks in Austin need their money too, but my question to you is, what is our remedy when they come in on a state permit, on a state bond, but they tear up our road?
Well, they're still liable for the damage they create.
No, I mean, are they liable in court, or can we go at the bond? It's one thing to sue somebody, it's another thing to just trigger the bond because they caused damage.
I don't know the answer to that question.
It seems like this would be an easy fix, like you have additional insured on the insurance policy, additional bonding listed as additional bonded entities.
Because Commissioner, one thing is that it's Clark and I've had some conversation in the past with some of this on how they actually permit some of these things and what permit requires, what bond and those things. So some of this overweight, oversized stuff, they get permitted under a different title.
Oh, okay.
They don't have any reporting to do to the county. They don't have any reporting or bonds to do. I'll just say it. To me, it's a loophole in the state stuff.
Yeah.
So they, instead of registering under this one permit, they go to the other side. There's a whole lot less things that they have to do. So to answer you, Judge, I think it's going to be difficult to deal with because they basically aren't telling us anything. They just show up because we have these trucks just show up. We get all these phone calls. If y'all got these phone calls from these individuals that they're just destroying the road and we have a recourse.
Well, and so as an example, the previous agenda item and the one from last week, were these bonds that were executed, the work started and ended on county roads?
Well, they're a little bit.
Examples of that?
The one last week is a different situation. That was a bore under our road with the pipeline.
Okay.
So that one we can do those. The other ones where they're just we're issuing it. I don't know when this policy was put in effect. It was long before I was here. Whether it's justifiable or not, I'm not sure. But it's been in place, and we've been implementing it. We've been going with it.
How long since the state enacted this? Do you know when they did that?
I think it was around 2012, 2013.
Perhaps we need to see if there's been an opinion on it. I don't
Well,
know that short a time if there has been.
I have one, and it basically says we can't
Oh,
do this.
wonderful.
So
If they touch a state road that's already been permitted.
if they already have a permit, then we can't additionally impose a
It
permit on
seems
them.
like we need a legislative remedy.
Well,
Unless it's written in such a manner that if we, and this is probably more your wheelhouse, does that bond then cover the county roads that they're going to be on, which was my initial question? Or do we have to actually seek civil remedy? Because we can't require them to have a bond. So
I think the
therefore,
answer-
what protects our street?
I think there's kind of a twofold question there. One of the things is that the state issues these permits, and they charge for them, and then they distribute that money out to the counties based on some formula that they've arrived at. So that what they basically are doing is saying, okay, the increased damage from this permit, we're giving that money to you to offset some of that damage. Now, if somebody just goes in there and tears something up completely, then I think our remedy would be in court.
So we still can't exercise a bond?
We don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I think that's what,
Yeah, because
And I don't know the answer, because the parts of the transportation code that I was reading that say that if there's a general permit, you cannot put additional permitting requirements. You can't add anything if they're already permitted by the state under that general permit. They don't discuss a bond.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, if they've got the permit, though, or the bond, who is, to the judge's point, because if they come in and they've left the state highway, they're now on our road, they tear up our road, do we apply for that damage under the state's permit or bond?
I don't think you
To
can.
get our repairs done, or who's responsible for our repair?
I don't think you can, because the state's going to permit for the state transit system, what they actually have that jurisdiction over. They're not going to have the jurisdiction over the county roads that we do.
But I think we're conflating bond and permit here.
That's where I'm getting confused when you guys are talking about bonding, because you don't have a bond when you have an oversized load and you just get a permit to run down the interstate. The bond is if you're doing a project on a road. Am I off there, Clark?
Well, I'm not sure on this state permit. I know what we have currently set up, it is both. You got a permit from the county, but then you also had to have a bond issued in the county's behalf.
Just to traverse a road?
Well, if you were oversized, overweight, or super heavy, those three
Okay.
categories.
I don't know that the state's permit system does that. I could be wrong. I don't know that the state's permit system, I think they just do the permit. I didn't read anything in there about bonding.
Yeah, and I can see where, in the case where we can't double permit if they got a state permit, but I don't know why we still couldn't require them to have a bond on our part of the road for repairs if they're doing one of those three. That would be the question we probably.
Yeah, we need to investigate that a little bit.
Find that.
I'll look at it. I'm inclined to say no, only because I think what the transportation code says is you cannot put any more requirements on them than the state already has. But I'll look at it more closely with the distinction between permitting and bonding.
Also, when you're looking for that, too, you need to be very careful about how it's reported, because some of that stuff is going to be done under that permit. It's never going to be reported until we
Right.
find them on the road somewhere.
Right.
Mr. Clark's found them before, I found them before, we found different things before. If there's a reporting process, it's got to be done so we do know.
Okay. I'll look into it.
For number 11, I think that we're probably setting up here. We need some more information. Unless y'all have something specific you want to vote on, I would suggest we no action.
No, but I have a question now.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You have that with you?
Excuse me?
You have it with you?
The permitting, the thing, yeah.
It's section F on page 4, and this is probably more along the sides of the sheriff. Because it talks about it here, all permits issued under regulations shall be kept, and permitted vehicles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it says that any oversized, overweight, super heavy load is found to be moving on any Orange County road without a permit, the carrier and/or operator may be cited for the violation. Why would we say may? Why wouldn't we say shall be?
Officer's discretion.
Yeah, I know it's a discretion, that's what I'm saying.
I will give you a prime example. We have a major wreck, a fatality, something where we're blocking the street off, and they're directed by an officer to go down that road. Well, then I would think it would be foolish to give them a ticket then for violating that. Now, they probably should know, hey, we can't fit, but if they're directed by an officer, I certainly wouldn't write them a ticket.
I believe some of the entities within Orange County, I'm not even sure that, I don't want to throw anyone on the bus, but even the drainage district, do they not transport oversized loads every now and then without permit? Going from point A to point B, which could just be a block away, that may be why they're leaving some kind of discretion in there as to that.
There'd be a lot of reasons to not write the ticket if there was some circumstances
To
there.
my knowledge, we've never written, to my knowledge, since I've been here, we've never written a ticket for that. If there was ever a question, something like that, we always call the highway.
DPS, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the C.
But now the wording of that speaks specifically to what Ms. Gremion was saying, which is if they are coming from a state permit, adding an additional permit, you said that changed in what, 12 or 13?
Yeah.
Well, that would be another reason is because I don't think that we could issue a permit at that point. If that's changed, I haven't reviewed it, but that's got nothing to do with a bond.
According to TAC, if a vehicle has been permitted to operate in the county by the state under 623.011, which is the general permit section, the county may not impose any additional fee, bond, or permit requirement.
So then we're back to the same question. How do we get a remedy if they tear up one of our streets?
Yeah.
Does the state bond help us, or do we have to go to civil court?
Although I'll say that the question of what our remedy is, I think, operates somewhat independently of the question of do we need internal policies for situations where they are strictly on county roads and not under any sort of general permit.
It does. It's just that's going to come up too in the
Sure.
Workshop, I would think.
And there does have to be a public hearing. I know there was a question about whether or not that can be waived. The public hearing requirement is in the transportation code.
And I don't think we'd be inclined to waive it anyway. So, do you want to work on that and send us a date that you'd like to have that?
Well, what I can do, Denise and I just can get together and try to answer some of these other issues,
That'd be good.
and then bring it back. And if you want at that time to set a public hearing to do it, because we will have to advertise this in the newspaper a couple of times and have it, so it'd be a while off.
Okay. And do you have? I know you have one waiting. Do you have others waiting for?
There have been a couple of things that are in the works. Pipelines coming in. Typically, in addition to the boring permit, they're bringing in a lot of heavy equipment, so they get a overweight permit as well. I haven't seen much increase in oil field exploration lately.
I'm only asking so I know if we're under some kind of time crunch to get our answer on this. I don't know if we have anything on your table that.
Well, I mean, there may be some things coming, but still, even if we don't have the increased bond requirement in place, they still are liable for whatever damage they cause. So it makes it easier if you have a bond, but it doesn't. It's not a get out of jail free if they don't have one.
It's incredibly easier if there was a bond, but in that case, like you say, I mean, you read it right out of there. We need to probably get moving on this so that we can get set up properly and protect ourselves from any damage. So we'll know action. Oh, I'm sorry.
I agree with no action. But one other thing too is in section 8 on the surety bond section up there. Do we need to go back and look at that and clearly state in there that pre-inspection of some type has to be documented somewhere? Because you know that's what everybody does when you go to pull a bond. They say, well, we didn't do that. That was already there. Or
Yeah.
Clark. So
Yeah, that's
I think that's common practice.
Common defense.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's department, without the sheriff present, was kind enough to say they might have some equipment to help Clark and his crew, a camera. And Chief Carver would be the guy you could talk to if he stepped his neck up.
On the streets.
But that's absolutely correct. And again, just like we said last week, for your benefit, is if we can get you some camera where you can go video it, date it, that would be very helpful.
And that's
no matter
what
what
we
we
need.
have to do later.
We do need that pre-trip visual documentation, because we've had that one on Church House where, and we went out there, and the company, I mean, they were really on top of things. They went out there with orange spray paint, painted every little defect in the whole road, and then filmed it all, and then said, okay, if we cause any damage, it better not already be marked in orange when we come back.
But I'd still like to say that under that section 8 that we put that in that section in there about a pre-inspection, so they know it's beyond question that, oh no, they're doing a pre-inspection, they're documenting it, so they'll know that information's already there. That it's not just ambiguous that, oh, did they inspect it or not? No, we inspected it because it's part of our policy.
And as expensive as it's getting just to work on a road, all of this stuff is going to be necessary. What was your estimate per mile?
It's about $156,000 a mile.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. A mile's not very far
No.
when you start adding that up. If you're running it up, picking a $20 bill up every foot, I'll bet you make that mile.
You go to the interstate out there, and that's $22 million a mile.
The other day at that meeting when the TxDOT gentleman talked about how much an interchange, was it at 69 and I-10 was going to cost? It was $500 million.
Clearly stated it. Clearly said.
Roads are expensive. Okay, we will no action that item and move on to number 12. Closed meeting held pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 to discuss with Assistant County Attorney matters regarding pending or threatened litigation. And for anybody who might be interested, the next item after that on the agenda is another closed session. There are no other agenda items of a general nature. In case anybody has somewhere to be, I just wanted to let you know.
You're signing $1 million plus agreement. Just stick around.
Only with the record.
I would ask that the courtroom be cleared, save and except for Clark, and no record.
Good. Turn to open session at 3 straight up. Number 13 is return to open meeting. Take any action deemed necessary based upon discussion in closed meeting. Ms. Grimion?
Judge, at this time, I would offer a motion for the court to authorize the county engineer to look into professional services providers who may be able to provide engineering services to move a portion of Old Spanish Trail in Precinct 3.
So,
Second that.
3 and 4. 1, 2.
Aye.
Judge, aye. 3,
Aye.
4. Aye. Okay. Moving on to 14, closed meeting held pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071 to discuss with Assistant County Attorney matters regarding pending or threatened litigation.
I would ask that the courtroom be cleared, save and except for Clark, and no record.
Okay. Closed at 3:01. Back in
Smart here in a minute.
3:26. Per our discussion and recommendation upon legal advice, no action this item at this time, so we'll return to open meeting and take no action as deemed necessary in our discussion. Anybody got an issue with that? Okay. Then moving on to number 16.
So moved.
Discussion possible action regarding adjourning Commissioners Court.
Second.
I got a 1 and a 2.
Hey.
1.
Hey.
Judge, aye. 3.
Aye.
4. All right.
We need to approve the bill.